It's such a joy, such an honor, and such a pleasure to be with you again today. And what I want to talk about today is mastering your life. Mastering your life. So, first of all, then, what is spiritual mastery? There are many ways to define it. One way to define spiritual mastery is that spiritual mastery is having and using spiritual tools to help you avoid fear, doubt, anger, depression, and self-sabotage, and instead using those tools to create the joyful, fulfilling life that you deserve and that you desire. When we reach a point of spiritual mastery, we go to God first instead of going to God last. And we use God's grace often instead of just relying on God's grace when all else fails. And we work with God proactively instead of waiting until things become unmanageable. So, does this spiritual mastery eliminate life lessons or opportunities for growth? Not necessarily, but it helps us to manage them much more efficiently, get through them much more easily and quickly, and it helps us to be stronger than ever before. So, why is this spiritual mastery necessary? Sounds like a lot of work. Well, spiritual mastery is necessary because that's why we came here. We came to master the idea that we are one with God, that God is one with us, and that the energy of God is the energy within us, and the power of God is the power within us. For when we come here and we master our oneness with God, we are home once again. We are no longer in the consciousness of separation, the consciousness that caused us to believe that we were banished from the kingdom of heaven. For when we are in our mastery, we are back home in that kingdom of heaven. But we are in that kingdom of heaven while here on earth. So God really does need you as a master. And in truth, you already are a master. We just forgot. We are all masters. We just forgot about it. But let me offer you something that is quite seasonal, yet quite appropriate here. In the season of fall, we see that the leaves are turning all kinds of beautiful reds and light greens and pinks and orange, and it's just a beautiful tapestry. But you know what? That beautiful tapestry we think is a change, but it's not a change at all. Those colors have already been in the leaves, but those colors were overwhelmed by all the chlorophyll that caused the leaves to be green. But once the chlorophyll receded, all of the other true colors of the leaves were revealed. The true colors were waiting to be revealed. Well, guess what? The true colors within you that are the true colors of your mastery are also waiting to be revealed. But instead of stopping the production of chlorophyll, our task is to stop the production of attack thoughts that attack the holy, beloved light of God that we have been. Our task is to stop the production of attack thoughts that have diminished the beautiful, powerful, creative, and deserving beloved child of God into something undeserving, into something unworthy, into something disempowered, and into something without hope. Our task is to remove all those things that have blocked the true colors of our mastery. And this is for us, and this is for everyone. For when we shine in our true colors of our mastery, we subtly give everyone else permission to do the same. God needs you as a master. God needs you as a victor and not a victim. God needs you as an example of God's light and God's work made manifest so that others can remember God's light and God's work and remember that it is made manifest in them as well. God needs you as a master. And so you say, well, then how can we master our lives? How can we master our lives? And I'm going to offer you 3 points about this, and then I'm out. The 3 points we can all use to master our lives are: number 1, make peace with your past. Number 2, accept the present. And number 3, forge the future. I'm going to repeat these. Number 1, make peace with your past. Number 2, accept the present. And number 3, forge the future. What do I mean when I say make peace with your past? Well, I want to ask you, has anyone ever seen one of the latest Tums commercials? The one that really strikes me is the commercial where the person is walking through the airport, and you know how fraught walking through an airport can be. So this person is walking through the airport, but there's this big taco following her, right? This big life-size taco is following her, and you know the symbolism of that. The symbolism of that is that taco is talking to her in her stomach. That taco is giving her indigestion. That taco is repeating on her, right? Well, our past is like that taco. It's giving us indigestion. It is repeating on us. It is making us miserable. But you know what? The grace of God is like Tums. The grace of God heals our anxiety. The grace of God gives us a sense of peace. The grace of God gives us a sense of power where we have felt disempowered. The grace of God gives us a sense of hope where physically we don't see the signs of hope. God is like Tums attacking that taco. And the loving light of God, when its wisdom and its compassion flows through us, it eases the internal pain in the same way that that Tums eases the internal pain of that person walking through the airport. So our task is to, just like if we get indigestion, to take a Tums. If our past and its guilt and its shame or its miseducation or its feelings of not enoughness, if those things from our past keep repeating on us, take a Tum of God. Get a dose of God. Feel God's love. Feel God's grace. Feel God's presence. Feel God's healing. And just like that Tums helps us to make peace with that taco, God can help us to make peace with the past. Because the past energies, they just, as a, our task is to remember that the past is written in disappearing ink. The past doesn't exist anymore. And once the past has no power over us, which is one of Catherine Ponder's most powerful affirmations, we can take our power back. We can be a master if we are not mastered by our past. Amen? So that leads me to the second point: accept the present. And this is important because if we disempower the past, it makes it easier to accept the present. Because you know what the present is? Our present situation is just the solidified, amalgamated result of past thoughts, past energies, past actions, and past reactions. So as we make peace with our past, sadly, its results still show up. So we have to be at peace with our present too. Now, quite often what we do is we fight the present by judging and condemning it. And spiritual mastery requires an objective view of the present current situation so that if we're not enjoying it, we can change it. So how do we get to this objective view instead of judging and condemning our past and judging and condemning our current situation, which is in effect judging and condemning ourselves? Because anytime we're judging and condemning the situation, unconsciously we're saying, I must have done something wrong. There's something wrong with me. And so what it is important to understand that we need not lament the present. We can accept the present. And we can accept the present only when we have a differing view of the present. So if there's something in our current situation that we are not enjoying, we can change it. Now, the mistake that we make quite often is we continually lament our current situation. But you know what happens, and this is very important. You know what happens when we continually lament our current situation. You know what happens when we continually blame others for our current situation. You know what happens when we continually stay in the energy of our current situation. We give that current situation more power to perpetuate. If you want a current situation to perpetuate, just complain about it. Because your complaint is not a complaint. Your complaint is a prayer. Your complaint is not a complaint. Your complaint is a command to the energy of the universe. Your complaint is not a complaint. It is a misuse of the most valuable commodity you have, and that is the creative power of God moving through you. And when you complain, you are misusing this power. This doesn't mean that you go into denial. You just don't give the current situation power to perpetuate itself. Consider this, and we even think this in our minds, and it's moved into the way we talk. Consider this. We pay attention. You realize that? We pay attention. The reason that we pay attention is that on some level, we know that attention is creative power and energy. And when you are directing your creative power and energy to something, that is you utilizing an extremely valuable commodity. Your spiritual power is your most valuable commodity. So when we pay attention, we are using and deploying that spiritual commodity to whatever it is we are paying attention to. So if you're paying attention to your difficulty, you are putting more spiritual energy into your difficulty. If you're paying attention to your lack, you are putting more spiritual energy behind perpetuating your lack. If you're paying attention to those who have victimized you and blaming others and condemning the situation, that valuable spiritual tool that you have, which is the power God gave you to create your good, is being misdirected and perpetuating something you do not like and you do not want and that God does not want for you. We are squandering our creative power by using it to perpetuate our current situation. A Course in Miracles, lesson 243 says, let me judge nothing that occurs. And Romans 8:28 says, all things work together for the good. And A Course in Miracles, lesson 135 says, if you only knew that all things past, present, and to be are gently guided by the one who would lead you only to your good, then you understand that there is nothing in God's world that is not for your good. Even if it shows up as a lesson in order for you to see and bring to consciousness what you were unconscious of, in order for you to see what you were unconsciously creating so that you can consciously create something different. It's all good. It all works together. So when we go into our mastery, which is going into our higher self, which is going into our love self, which is going into our power self, which is going into the part of us that is God, the part of us that is connected to God, the part of us that is one with God, when we go into that upper room through prayer, through meditation and release, we can look at the present objectively instead of through judgment. We can look at it from a spiritual perspective. And we only have this perspective from the perspective of our higher self. For example, when we are in our higher self, we see not only our own hurt and pain, but we may see the hurt and pain of the person that got on our nerves. And from that higher perspective, we may see that we're one with each other. We may see that we're mirroring each other. We may see that we're carrying a common script of victimhood, and we may see that we both need the love of God, but we have access, insight to the power of the love of God. And we can apply that love of God to the part of us that is hurting, and the overflow flows to the part of them that is hurting. And from this perspective, we can heal ourselves and we can support them in their healing, because when we're healed, we are not healed alone. So we can change the thought. What is the thought that created this? What is the thought of my not enoughness? What is the thought of my sinfulness? What is the thought of my undeservingness that supported the creation of this situation? And what is the truth that will replace this thought? And we can change the thought. We can release the patterning and the energy of the old thought. And we can allow in that void the energy of light, the energy of love, the energy of grace to come in and change it. And that is how we accept the past. The past is simply an amalgamation. Accept the current situation, in other words. The current situation is just an amalgamation of the past. Heal the past. Heal the current situation by looking at it from a different perspective, and then we can forge a different future. And that's what spiritual mastery is really all about. It's about forging a different future. Mastering your life involves the realization that life doesn't happen to us, but as masters, we can allow life to happen for us. A Course in Miracles says there are no neutral thoughts. Our thoughts simply create. Those that are true create their likeness, those that are not create theirs. And mastery involves mastering our thoughts to manifest the world we desire, instead of the unconscious thoughts that we've had that have manifested a world we don't enjoy. Mastering our lives involves understanding and using the law of inner cause and outer effect. What is the law of inner cause and outer effect? That which is going on within you, whether conscious or unconscious, shows up outside of you so that you can change what you don't like. That's simply what the law of inner cause and outer effect is. And let me repeat it, because I'm starting to get excited, which means I'm starting to talk fast. So let me repeat it so I'm sure that you get it. Mastering your life involves understanding and using the law of inner cause and outer effect. What that simply means is what is going on within you creates its reflection, attracts its reflection in your outer world. And if something within you is attracting a reflection you don't enjoy, it is to bring it to your awareness, because you have the power to change it. You have the power to heal it, but it begins within you. So all that energy you've been wasting blaming somebody else is just wasted power. But when you apply the energy of God that is available to you in infinite supply, when you apply the love of God that is available to you in infinite supply, to that place within you, you are cultivating a new inner world. You are cultivating an inner world of peace. You are cultivating an inner world of grace. You are cultivating an inner world of joy. For God, being love, is happiness. And when you feel God's energy and God's love moving to you, moving through you, coursing through you, you feel happy. When you feel God's love embracing you, you feel embraced and deserving. When you feel God's love filling you, you feel full, and you no longer feel like something's wrong with you, because the love of God is possessing you in a a sense. And when you create and cultivate this inner world, and when you pay attention to this inner world, it is not denying your outer world, it is just disempowering your outer world. And your inner world becomes the point of focus that then attracts a different outer world. So our task in forging the future is cultivating an inner world, paying attention to our inner world. Vision this world that you desire that lives within you. Speak the world that you desire that lives within you. Imagine the world that you desire that lives within you. Become the world. Become the person that you desire to be in the world that you create within you. Vibrate with it, emanate with it, attract it, and magnify it. And this inner energy, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, but know ye not the kingdom of heaven lives within you. This inner energy is the inner energy of mastery. And when you are so fully focused on and so fully present in this energy, and when this energy is so fully prevalent within you, the outer world has less power to shake you. The outer world has less power to scare you. The outer world has less power to intimidate you or twist you back into something that you aren't and something that you never were. For you never were sinful. You never were guilty. You never were undeserving. You never were separated from the love of God. You were never unlovable. You were never any of those things. Just like the trees always had those beautiful colors within them, you have always had the power and the energy and the grace of God within you. Our task together is to get back to that place of mastery by releasing the past, accepting the present, and forging the future. Because this place of inner mastery is basically living with blessed assurance, knowing that God is with us always, knowing that we're safe in the energy and presence of God, knowing that we are there in truth and that no storm can no storm can sway us. And when we are part of God, God is love, and that peace of God surrounds us. So our task, and it is a sacred task indeed, is to master our lives, that we might create other masters on the world that help the world to move forward. And you're important for God's function here. So that's what I want to say about mastering your life. Thank you very much.